Hi guys! It feels like it's been forever since I last posted a sketchbook tour, so I'm really happy that I finally got around to finishing another sketchbook. This is a hardcover version of the Strathmore 500 series that my friend Juni decorated the cover of. We did a little kind of sketchbook swap earlier this year where she decorated a cover of a sketchbook and sent it off to me, and I did the same for her, and this is that sketchbook from that trade. I started this guy in March of this year and finished it a week or so ago, so all in all it took me about 9 months to finish. The very first spread of the sketchbook actually has a bunch of test stickers that I was doing when I first got my Cricut, so a bunch of different designs that I made of stickers, and I decided just to put them all in here so they'd have a good place to sit. I think it's really cool to see though because it's like my sticker progress so far in terms of making things, so I'm really happy with it. I really like it. And then it starts off with a couple of pages that Juni actually filled herself. And on top of that, she also did a couple of illustrations in this sketchbook at the very beginning, so you can very easily tell our style differences, so I'm sure you can figure out which ones are hers. However, of course, I'll leave little annotations saying which ones are hers in case you're curious. Also, I'll leave a link to her channel in the description box below. She hasn't been able to post super actively lately because she's been very busy with work, but she also makes art videos, and she's really cool. Definitely recommend checking her out, so link to her channel will be in the description box below. As far as the paper in the sketchbook goes, like I said, this is a Strathmore 500 series sketchbook. It's a very large sketchbook. It has pretty decent paper. I believe it's considered mixed media, and it definitely holds true to that. It doesn't hold a ton of water, but for what it does, like, the sketchbook worked really well for me. I actually really enjoyed the paper. It's not super heavyweight. It's like slightly textured, but not too heavy. I don't personally really like smooth paper. I definitely prefer some kind of texture for paper. So I really liked that. The sketchbook as a whole, I kind of bounce back and forth when it comes to sketchbooks of liking smaller sketchbooks and liking larger ones. I tend to favor smaller sketchbooks when I've been working with a larger one for a while, just because I kind of get in a rut of working with larger sketchbooks or smaller sketchbooks of I just need change here and there. I don't want to go through start to finish with one size of sketchbook, especially if it's not like a medium sized. I think the only sketchbook that I was more so content with size wise was the ELO sketchbook because it was a really nice square size, and even though I didn't really like working with ELO sketchbook and I said I would never get another one, I'm kind of leaning towards getting another ELO sketchbook. So once I finish a couple more sketchbooks I have lying around, because I have a lot of sketchbooks that I need to finish right now, I might end up picking up another ELO. I guess we'll see. But for the time being, I'm really like eyeballing square sketchbooks because they've been really tempting recently. As far as the artwork within the sketchbook goes, a ton of it's fan art. This was kind of like the pandemic sketchbook for me. This was the one that I was primarily working out of, and once pandemic really hit, I just straight up stopped doing art for a while, and I was drawing like extremely minimally. So I think, like, especially right where we're at in the sketchbook tour, this is kind of where my momentum for art was just so bad, and I got to the point where I really didn't care what the sketchbooks looked like, hence why there's a lot of really loose sketches or just like super unfinished pieces in here, is because that's all I had the energy to put out and that's all I was capable of putting out at the time. So for several spreads going forward, it's very different from my usual sketchbook spreads, which I feel like are not necessarily like full finished pieces, but they're a lot more colorful. There's a lot more going on in the page, and we had like a little rock bottom, I guess. It wasn't too bad. Like, I was working out of a couple other sketchbooks, but like I wasn't really putting too much art into those either, but this was definitely my main sketchbook, hence why I finished it first. But yeah, it was just a little rough patch there. I'm very happy to say that momentum is building back up for me art-wise. I know I've mentioned that before, but it's really nice going from like not creating art kind of sucks, so being able to do that again and be comfortable with it and just like, I don't know, have that be a normal daily thing has been very nice, so I'm very happy with that. I definitely, when I started building up momentum back again with my art, I rediscovered my Tombow dual brush pens, so most of the art from here on is actually done with those pens. I use the water-based ones. They're honestly one of my favorite art supplies. They really carried me through like the last month, 2 months of doing art. I've just had so much fun working with them. I go through phases of using those pens where like I'll use them for a couple months very steadily, and then I'll drop them for several months, and then I'll go back to them. But they're such a nice art supply to have. I think they're super versatile, and I really like the effect that they give. The inks, especially on the lighter shades, layer really well, so you can get a lot of dimension just with like one individual pen. And as a whole, I have so much fun playing with those pens. So as you can see here, good stuff started happening again, and I started doing my, I guess, normal sketchbook spreads of just having a lot going on and a lot of colors, and it was really nice being able to do that. Like I said, this is a larger sketchbook, and when I do work with larger sketchbooks, I want to go to working with smaller ones. So the next sketchbook I finish will probably be a smaller one. In the past, I normally try to stick with one sketchbook at a time, but currently I'm working on probably like 4 or 5 different ones, just here and there, like a little bit at a time, do a couple spreads and then don't touch it for a while, and then do another couple spreads and don't touch it for a while. So I really don't know which one I'll finish next, but I'm really looking forward to working with something that's a little bit smaller. I have a Stillman and Burn sketchbook that's about the same size as this one that I've been really wanting to use for the longest time, but after my experience with the sketchbook, which wasn't bad by any means, I'm ready to go for a smaller size. I'm going to start with something different, but I really want to try out the Stillman and Burn sketchbook. I actually have 2 of them. One Steven bought for me and one was gifted to me, and I'm really looking forward to trying both of them out. They're both strange sizes. One is large like this one, the other one is rectangular, but it's really wide and not too tall, so it's a weird shape for me to use for a sketchbook, but I also really want to try that one. I just feel like before I start any new sketchbooks, I really need to nail down on finishing the ones that I've already kind of started, because it's very out of character for me to have so many sketchbooks that I'm using consistently or just on and off at once. Normally I start to finish a sketchbook and then start a new one and finish that and then etc. Just keep going that way, but like I said, it's been a little chaotic. I have decided that I wanted to work on many sketchbooks at once, and then I get excited about new papers, and then I buy more sketchbooks. So honestly right now, while I may be working on like 4 to 5 sketchbooks, I can say with confidence, like right off the top of my head, I can think of like 4 other ones that are just like haven't been touched at all, brand new sketchbooks that I bought with the intention to use, and I absolutely will use them, but like, I don't know, I would like to finish some more sketchbooks before I start those ones. So that's how it's going for me. But this sketchbook, all things considered, went really well for me. It's definitely not my favorite doodles inside, but you know, considering everything that went on whilst working on this sketchbook, I'm really happy with it. I'm proud of myself for finishing it in the time frame that I did, considering everything that was going on and like my lack of output when it came to art. So I'm proud of myself for that at the very least. So hopefully, if all goes well, I won't take 9 months to finish another sketchbook. Hopefully I can like chop that down to 6 months, because that would be really cool. I think that's my goal. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.